Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth episode of the Premodern Showdown series. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm here with Flint Espel,
Hey, everybody.
and tonight we are ready for a matchup between Ron Taylor and David Daniel. We're going to be going over the three decks that each of them have available to them, and then we're going to quick talk about the banning process and our predictions for their bannings, and then we'll jump into the match. So Ron's first deck is a blue-white landstill deck. We've seen this. He played it in his first week, and it's a pretty standard blue-white landstill deck. Probably, if any of you have played the format, you're familiar with, and maybe begrudgingly. But let's go to his next one. Flint, you want to talk about the Reanimator deck real quick?
Sure. So Ron is one of the pre-modern online monthly tournament reanimator staple players. He's great with the deck. He's made top eight a couple times. Basically looking to get a creature into the graveyard as soon as possible. And Ron's got a nice twist on it. He's running World Tutor, which I haven't seen in his previous lists, which allows him to kind of add a couple more narrow creatures that he can bring into play. Really nice list here. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out if it's the deck that he chooses tonight. But then in the sideboard, of course, he's got an Oath of Druid as a backup against Graveyard Hate. Pretty straightforward.
Then his last deck is everybody's favorite deck is Stasis, and it's just a mono blue control deck. It looks to get your opponent under a stasis lock and then kill them with Black Vice. And there's lots of counter spells and a few bounce spells and card draw. So it's a pleasure to see in action. I'm sure everyone will like it. So jumping over to David's deck, which are a little less standard. The deck that he's kind of burst onto the scene with is this Draco Explosion deck. So it was kind of your standard machine head deck, and then he put in the Draco Explosion combo with 4 Insidious Dreams that can tutor it up, and then Erratic Explosion, and then the other card is Draco, which is a 16 cast artifact. So it's got elements of just hand disruption and some creature interaction, and then a lot of times it finishes the game with a quick 16 to the head. And then the Mana Flare combo. So Flint, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, this is a really cool deck. It's similar to the deck that you and I ran a few months ago, of course, but David's got a slightly different twist on it than what we ran. He's basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Mana Flare into play, and then he's trying to use cards like Early Harvest to untap all of his lands and add a bunch of mana to his mana pool, and then continue to cast cards like Frantic Search, Deep Analysis, continue to build a critical mass on his mana, and then eventually cast a Burning Wish, get a Karavex Torch, and then burn out the opponent. Or as a backup plan, he's got Temporal Fissure to bounce permanents as well.
Yeah, so this is a deck that would be really cool to see because it definitely is really exciting to watch in action. It's one of those combo decks where it's not just I get my 2 cards in play and then I just win. It's really going to have to go through the motions, and you get to see everything in action. So
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions.
the last deck we saw David play in his first match, and it's called Opposition is what he called it, but it's kind of just a blue green madness deck with a touch of opposition, and then a quiet speculation package that can get Acorn Harvest or Cabal Therapies, Roar the Worm, or a Deep Analysis. But it's kind of a blue green tempo, and then it has some disruption elements, either with counter magic, hand disruption, or the opposition. So let's jump over the bans real quick. So if you're looking at Ron's perspective, which of David's decks do you not want to play against?
Good question. I mean, I think if I'm Ron, I most likely don't want to play against the Draco Explosion deck. I think that David's got a lot of experience with it. He's had a lot of success with it, and it's got a way to disrupt a lot of Ron's plans, regardless of whichever deck he decides to go with. It can kill out of nowhere, and it has the discard and the fast starts and the card advantage to where I think it has some game against control decks. So I think that might be the one that I would ban.
I think I would ban the opposition deck because if you have I think it's decently matched up against the two control decks with a little bit of aggression and then some counter magic or hand disruption. So I think that's probably the one that I would ban. If you're David, which deck of Ron's are you banning?
If I'm David, I think I would probably ban Stasis, and maybe that's just because I'm not David, I'm Flint, and I just hate to play against it. Um, it's got a lot of interaction against a lot of David's decks, but I think you could make the argument against banning something that can go under his other two decks like Reanimator.
Yeah, I think I would ban Stasis as well. So, all right, so let's jump over to the match, and we'll figure out what they're playing. Flint, you want to let them know that they can start off?
I will do that now.
And it looks like I think both of them have mulliganed once, with the one card isolated for both of them.
Yeah. And we have David on the play. David won the die roll. Okay, so Forest.
Elvish
David.
Pioneer. So this is probably not one that everyone knows. Oh, I got it. I guess I do have. Let me flip around David's screen.
Yeah.
I thought I had.
So David's clearly on Mana Flare combo. And Ron, it could be Landstill or Stasis.
I don't remember seeing that island for the time he played with the blue-white deck. So I'm going to guess he's on Stasis, but it could, maybe we just didn't see that one island. So the Elvish Pioneer is a noble 1/1 for 1 that allows you to put a basic land card into play tapped when it comes into play. So it doesn't get it out of your deck, it just got to be in your hand. But we see on turn, this is David's turn 3. He's got 5 mana in play because he cast a Rampant Growth on his second turn.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron has done nothing but play islands. So
if we don't see a white source here, all right, I'm guessing Stasis.
Yeah. So I think Ron got attacked twice, so I think he's at 18.
Forbidden City, yeah.
Yeah, that shiny card is Forsaken City.
Forsaken City, no, sorry. So I'm going to look up the banned lists now. So it looks like David banned Reanimator and Ron banned Draco Burst.
Okay. So this little 1/1 is doing work.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, David's just been playing lands or ways to get lands. So what is he waiting for, or what is he saving up to do, I guess? How does he pick a spot where he wants to go off?
David?
Yes.
Good question. Does he have any anti-control cards like Mana Short or anything main deck?
I
don't think he does.
He has a Burning Wish. I don't know what's in what he has access to.
So Vice is pretty good here. 3 in hand.
You said he had 3 in hand, so he didn't take any damage?
Correct.
Okay.
He's just been playing out lands all day.
Yeah. So Ron is probably pretty happy if nothing's going on because he's just able to kind of set up his mana. Because a lot of times, if you have a bunch of lands in play with the Stasis deck, once you get the Stasis down, you have to pay blue every time. And this will just give him the opportunity to kind of... I mean, I don't know if David's ever just going to tap out and not try and kill Ron, but it just gives him the ability to keep the game or keep his stasis in play without much effort. Though I guess he does have the Forsaken Cities anyways, because that's a way that interacts really well with stasis. Is you can always trade a card from your hand to pay for stasis.
So powder keg now. I wonder how many Ron has in his hand.
Is Ron at 12? No, is he going to 11?
Um,
I think.
yeah, it looks like he's at 11 now. So David's thinking, is this the turn? Ron's got, what, 5 mana open? He's got a ton of cards in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is going to have to be playing through some number of counter spells. He knows that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what his Ron's deck is full of. So he's probably thinking, how can I get to a spot where I am playing multiple cards that Ron feels like he has to counter? The only problem is some of the counter spells in Ron's deck won't even cost mana. They'll be like Thwart or Daze. I mean, Daze is something that David could pretty easily play around, but Thwart is going to be a troublesome card.
So what's he playing here? I don't recognize that one.
That is New Frontiers. So it's a source. I'll bring it up, but it's a sorcery that you pay green and X, and each player searches their library for X basic lands and put them into play tapped. So it looks like he cast it for 3.
Bad news though with the sorcery. So Ron's got an opening here, I think, to jam a stasis.
So the reason why I know this card is there used to be a format on Magic Online that was somewhat popular. I don't even remember what it was called, but it would be a 3v3 team game, and the middle player, you had like an area effect of your spells. So if your middle player cast New Frontiers, it only affect your flanks, your teammates.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
so you'd have drastically different decks between like the flanks and then the Emperor. Yeah, that's what it was. Thanks, chat.
Emperor. Yeah.
So yeah, the New Frontiers was a really popular card for the Emperor, and when I first started, I didn't have any cards, so I was always a flank and not a very good one. But you could do some really crazy things with that format, especially if you had 3 friends that all kind of built their decks together, and New Frontiers was a big engine for a lot of them.
So we're on down to 10 here.
More powder kegs.
Yeah.
How many things does powder keg get in this matchup? Because it doesn't get enchantments.
Nope.
It's.
Is it just the elf?
I don't know.
In his own black vice?
Yeah, I guess that's a reason not to crack it on one.
He probably wants to maybe chain of vapor his black vice back to his hand, or just wait. So we have Burning Wish from David. Ron deciding if he wants to counter it or not, or is he letting it go?
He's probably checking the sideboard right now, is what I'm guessing. He wants to know what he has access to before he makes that decision.
That's fair.
So he's getting Temporal Fissure. So this is a 5-mana storm card that bounces a permanent. So that's a way for David to kind of, if he is playing like test spells, even if they're getting countered, if he has 5 mana, he might be able to just bounce a bunch of Ron's lands to get an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Frantic Search. Ron's got a lot of cards in hand.
All right. So he's using a thwart. He's actually casting it, looks like, paying mana as compared to returning 3 islands.
It's 5, correct?
No, it's a 4-mana spell.
Oh, it's 4. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen one hard cast.
Oh, I have. Well, I played Stasis, so that's probably why.
You would.
Yeah.
So follow up Frantic Search again from David.
I I mean, Frantic Search is a cool card in this deck because it not only draws you card, well, I guess it filters, and but it untaps your mana. So if you have mana player in play, it's like a baby ritual as well.
Yeah.
Though I know the list that we played, we started with Frantic Search, but we found that because we were relying on Nostalgic Dreams as an engine, that have it the net of -1 cards because you draw two, discard two, and then you obviously played the Frantic Search. You're down a card, and that was just the interaction with that with Nostalgic Dreams just did not interact very favorably. So we kind of we cut the Frantic Searches and we ended up playing Words of Wisdom, which is probably not a very well-known card, but it was a nice cheap way just to get cards in your hand, and it also served as we were decking people with Brain Freeze, so it kind of served as our kill condition too.
Yeah.
But yeah, David's list is a little different than the ones we played. He's
thinking.
He's
Thinking
more
about that early
sorcery
harvest.
based, obviously, because of the Burning Wish, but he has different kill conditions because of that. All right, what's the storm for?
Temporal Fissure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something that's at 4. Is that right?
I mean, it's not bad, but it's not. I mean, Ron still has 1,000,000 mana. I mean, I guess he's bouncing the untapped lands, and maybe he's just gonna try and go off from here. I guess does he have mana? Does he have mana to early harvest right now? Doesn't look like it.
I mean, unless he hasn't played his land yet this turn.
That's true.
But Ron's got plenty of free counter magic, right?
I mean the ones that he has, I don't know if he has any foils, but Thwart is one and Daze is another, and Daze is one that David can pretty easily play around. So with Ron untapping, it just looks like David just said go. So he just kind of, I felt like he used like a decent amount of cards for that baby little temporal fissure. Though I guess the one thing that changes is now that that's in his graveyard, if he ever uses diminishing returns, then it gets shuffled back in his deck.
Yeah. So does Ron just drop the stasis here?
I mean, probably. I don't think you're
Seems
gonna
good.
I don't think you're gonna get many more opportunities. Though he has to be aware that David could just play a land and then play early harvest. But I'm sure, just given Ron's deck, I think he has so many spells. Looks like he's discarding I think it's a Daze under there, and then an island.
Yeah, just passing.
Oh. Let's bring up the alliances one. There we go. So an impulse for David. So he did that during his turn. So does that? I guess he didn't have blue mana up. He used all his blue mana. He only had
Yeah, he
green
just
mana
had
up.
2 forests. Yeah. Cast Gush.
Yeah, that's a way to do it. We've seen all the quote unquote alternate casting cost cards, or all the alternate casted cards. Typically, they're in the deck to be used for their alternating casting costs, but here we've seen Ron use the actual mana cost for both of them.
Yeah. So he bounces the Vice to then destroy the Elf. It's kind of where he thought he would be, and he's going to play it. So David has 4 in hand, so he won't take any damage this next turn.
He hasn't taken any damage, correct, from the Black Vice?
No, I don't believe so.
More impulsing. I mean, who do you think's winning this game right now?
I mean, I kind of like Ron's chances if he can drop a stasis. There's another like opportune moment.
I guess it seems like David has a harder time fighting around permission. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to pick a spot. It seems like. I mean, I guess there's like an actual risk that Ron like decks himself.
Yeah, or runs out of his return hands or whatever. But how many it's thwart, right? How many thwarts does he run?
4.
Three? It's four? Yeah. It's probably still okay.
Ron's going to discard. He pitches an island. See, I mean, like, is it's not like Stasis's fault really. I mean, like, he's just David hasn't like done anything, so Ron can't really like lock him out. I guess, yeah, that's the thing is, there's no real way that Ron is gonna make David tap out. So I guess that might be part of David's plan is if he's able to play enough cards out of his hand, he's not afraid of like a black face, and if he's able to just get a ton of lands in play, his diminishing returns get better. He's better against like the stasis. So this might be part of his plan. So is he at 18 or 17? Can you see with that? Is that a 3 or a 2 on that die?
Looks like he on Ron's.
No, on well, it's on Ron's
That
side.
Ron's at
Eight.
8.
Oh, or
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it looks like David's at 18.
18. Okay.
Double dice. All right.
So he might be able to deal some damage. I guess one thing that is comes into play is trying to bounce your opponent's stuff with Chain of Vapor, but there aren't really that many permanents that David has to even bounce. So there might be like a Chain of Vapor in Ron's hand, because that might be a way for him to have another card in his hand if David's not expecting to be under the black vice, but then on his turn he could bounce. On Ron's turn he can bounce some stuff and then replay the black vice in case Daniel chains it back. I'll bring up Chain of Vapor. Maybe people don't know what that one does. Chain.
All right, here comes the Mana Flare. And a pretty easy Arcane Denial from Ron here.
Yeah, so Arcane Denial is going to give David the choice of drawing 2 additional cards, which he does opt for,
Yep.
and then Ron gets to draw an additional card. So the Arcane Denial works nice with the black vices. Just try and clog up their hand. So here's the stasis, and it's only keeping how many lands? 1, 2, is that only 3?
That's 3 of David's. Yeah, the mountain, 2 islands.
And there's a there's I was gonna say and there's a Mana Flare in play, but it's not. That's in the graveyard.
Yeah, alas.
Are we still on Ron's turn? I think so.
I think on David's turn.
Did he take damage for the black vice?
He did. So he's trying Frantic
He's at
Search,
11.
and Ron's got another Arcane Denial. Pretty straightforward game here. Draw, go, try something every once in a while.
Well, it's kind of interesting because with the black vices in play, David can't just like wait around and build up his hand. He's got to actually like play spells, and it might hinder his ability to go off. Like, I think ideally he would wait for it to have like 7 or 8 cards in his hand, because then he's able to play around counter magic better. But because the black vices are in play, his hand is kind of forced. He's got to force to take action, otherwise he's gonna die.
Yep. And it looks like, it looks like you have light tools, right?
Okay,
So there's the early harvest.
Yes. So
And another Arcane Denial from Ron. He's got another one, I'm guessing.
it's funny. I know when David submitted his deck, he said for the deck archetype one. He said he liked the 7th edition art of Early Harvest better. So that's one that's used in the deck archetypes. But he's playing with the Mirage one in his deck, so I think it's kind of funny.
So he tried for a second one and it got thwarted.
Okay.
It's in a pretty rough spot now.
Do you know how many cards there's in Daniel's deck? I guess I'm going to update their deck names. I guess I forgot to do that.
Yeah. Were you asking how many cards are in his hand?
Yeah, because I mean, he used.
I don't know.
Come on. So he took 4 damage down to 7.
Yeah. So Ron's at 8, I think, and David's at 7. So what do we got here from David? We got a turnabout. And the last...
That's a foil.
That's a foil. It's a foil.
Yes.
Look out. And David scoops him up. All right.
So he was going to die of the vice?
Yeah, I think at that point he used all of his gas. He's going to die of the vice before he can get enough lands in play, even if he has in his deck to get out of that and drown. Almost certainly have it.
Well, let's jump over the decks and see if the matchup changes drastically because of the sideboards. So let's find the Mana Flare deck. So the thing is, because he's playing a Burning Wish deck, he doesn't have that many cards, though. It looks like he actually has a plan against a plan against counter spells. So he's got 2 Pyroblasts, 2 Xantid Swarms, 2 Seed Times. I imagine those are all coming in.
Oh, yeah.
I think you can take out the Elvish Pioneers because typically you will probably want those against decks that are quicker and you need to combo off faster, but Ron doesn't put any pressure on real quick, and I think he can cut those. So that's 3 cards there. I might cut maybe New Frontiers, some number of those.
Yeah, I don't like New Frontiers as much in this match. It helps out Ron a lot.
Yeah.
You get to spend so much mana to do it, and then come into play tapped, and then Ron gets to untap with all that mana.
And then maybe a Deep Analysis, or taking out 6 cards, or maybe a Rampant Growth. I don't know. Let's switch over to Ron's. If I get that up.
All right.
And I think he probably brings in Tormod's Crypt, right? Because if David's planning on doing diminishing return stuff, then that's a way to prevent that from happening. I mean, you could bring in Morphling. And Stifle is a card too because of the Storm, but I don't know if. I mean,
I definitely like Crypt, and I think there could be an argument for Morphling.
Well, I guess how many cards are bad? Like, Snare is bad because that taps creatures.
Yeah.
Arguably, Daze is bad, like given the way those games went. But I don't know if it's always gonna be bad.
I think I'd take out Powder Keg too.
Powder Keg, yeah, I guess, yeah, that didn't have any targets, so yeah, I guess he's got some stuff to bring in. 1, 2, 3.
Well, the other thing here too is like, what does Ron expect David to bring in, right? Because if David's bringing in Xantid Swarms, is Powder Keg good enough to get rid of a Xantid Swarm, or do you just rely on Chain of Vapor?
That's true. Actually, yeah, I think you need to keep in the Powder Keg, son.
If David's bringing in Pyroblast, do you bring in your Hydroblast, right?
So it gets Mana Flare, it gets Burning Wish, and it gets Pyroblast, so it's probably
Seems good.
better. It's probably good enough as like a counterspell slot. Like if you just swapped it out for a counterspell, I think that is a fair trade.
What do you folks think in chat? I mean, what would you bring in if you were Ron? Do you leave the powder kegs in for the Xanadu swarms, and then in case David keeps the elves in play? What would you take out for the hydroblasts? Is there any argument for Morphling here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's
Just,
reasonable.
just going the beatdown plan?
Yeah. Well, especially, I guess. I mean, it's kind of hard to because if David's not doing anything for a long time, it's hard to kind of punish that because it's not like you're gonna have 13 mana in play that you can. I mean, I guess some of your counter spells are free. Because
Right.
it's just you're just gonna have to tap a lot of your mana on your turn, and kind of your shields are down then if you're doing that from Ron's
And
perspective.
a lot of David's cards, like even if one gets through it, untaps all of his lands. So if you missed by one counterspell, it could cost you the game. All right, it looks like they're all shuffled up and ready. Should we cut back?
Yeah. So after board, do you think? I mean, I think David's deck improved more. Do you think it's enough to say that he has an edge, though?
Um, I mean, I think it's closer to a favorable matchup for him, but I don't know if he necessarily has an edge. I think it's really going to depend on his opener, right? So if he can get a quick Xanadu Swarm on the
Ooh.
battlefield,
Well, that's probably Ron's best opening. So
yeah, that's pretty good for Ron. So David's down to 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah. We don't see a Xanadu Swarm. We see blue and red mana, which aren't great. We want to see green for the ramp.
Oh, I've got
Impulse
his
out of
screen.
in its turn.
All right. So impulse for David, and then he has a forest, but
That's good. He needs it, right? I mean,
sure.
that's the mana he needs to really ramp. And he just runs out the mana flare. All right. Into a daze. Ooh.
Okay. So yeah, kept the dazes in, or at least some number of them, which I guess makes sense because it's probably like your best card against, like if David does go more aggressively, I guess, with his plan. But
Quick stasis too from Ron there to follow up to slow David down.
so yeah, so from this spot, a lot of people like. So Ron either needs to play a land every turn, but he still could get a Forsaken City, or if he has Gush or Thwart or Daze, he has ways to pick up his lands.
Yeah, David down to 14.
Okay.
Down to 12.
Yeah, so this is one of those spots where it's like the Stasis deck. I mean, at least like this game is progressing a lot quicker than the last one. So
Yeah.
because Stasis in play, there's a Black Vice, and it's just draw go, taking damage, taking damage. He's at 9,
Mm-hmm.
and is he discarding? No. And sometimes it's almost like a detriment for you to play spells into a stasis because one of the ways he has to pick it up is or pick up islands is thwart or daze. So it's almost so he's pyroblasting presumably the stasis. I guess he legally can target the black vice, but
Yeah. So it resolves and he gets to untap. Does go to 7. He doesn't have 2 green though.
when Ron just lets it go, do you think that is that an indication? I don't know how many cards he has in his hand that he doesn't have that many counter spells, or do you think he is just gonna say, "All right, I'll let that so I can untap my mana, and if he does go for it, I have one counter spell to counter his big spell."
I mean, it could be either one. I think that's a good point. I mean, the only spell he really needs to counter is Mana Flare.
Well, it'd be kind of interesting because what if you, I guess it depends on how many lands that David has, but if you let Mana Flare resolve and then try to counter the other spells, because now
I don't
this,
know that Mana.
I guess, I mean, it depends if you have like an Arcane Denial or something in your hand, because this Mana Flare would turn on your Arcane Denial.
Yeah. So it looks like he's going to let it resolve.
Or I mean, maybe he doesn't have a choice, but
Rampant Growth.
okay. I mean, I'm guessing that Ron has another stasis.
Yeah, it's got to.
Maybe not. I mean, I guess he hasn't drawn that many cards this game.
So he passes the turn. Ron taps for 2 blue and plays a stasis. He called it. Yep.
Though I guess the Mana Flare doesn't really make paying for stasis any easier because you still need a blue source, and the extra mana doesn't really do anything.
Wow. End of turn taps for 4 mana to play an early harvest.
And there's an Arcane Denial. So yeah, this is a rough spot for David now because if it's like drawing the cards is bad and and you're tapped out. I mean, I guess there's only 2 cards it looks like in Ron's hand right now, but there's going to be one more from the Arcane Denial resolving, and Ron's in pretty good position, I think, to win this game.
I think so. He's got the red mana.
I guess he has floating mana. I was not considering that.
So he's going to try to Pyroblast because he had 1 red left.
They're counting mana, it looks like.
Yeah, he tapped a Forest in the Mountain, right? So he had 2 green, 2 red.
He might have had, I don't know, he might have had 3 lands on tap. I don't know. Oh, so a daze. So he must have been tapped out then.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he just tapped 2.
All right. So did he? He's under the black vice right now. He didn't take.
Yeah, he only has 2 in hand. He's got 3.
He's at 7. I had him at 9.
Yeah, he's at 7. See, I was wondering why David didn't wait until his turn because he could potentially play a 3rd land and tap for 6 mana.
Yeah, I don't know.
To black because he's going to untap his lands either way with it. The instant speed doesn't matter. Yeah, because
it's not like his mana is untapping, so
yeah,
it's not like, and I don't think he can do that anything like instant speed that he would need to do. But even then, like, it's not any different because of the stasis in play. It's not like casting things on the end of a turn saves you mana. So
right.
I don't know.
Three in hand for David. Trying to decide what to do here.
So what type of card does David need to get out of this situation? I guess does he have diminishing returns?
Does he have any way to get rid of the stasis at this point? I don't think he does he? There's just the 2 Pyroblasts.
I mean, he could get Temporal Fissure after a Burning Wish.
I think he just needs to untap. I think he just needs to untap cards, and he needs to hope that Ron doesn't have enough counters to stop him. So now he's up to 4. Now he's down to 3. So he's still under the vice. Ron's just drawing more and more cards here. We got a gush.
So he's exiling Stasis to untap Forsaken City.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when the game of Magic is just funny. Like when you have this card and it's like, it just seems like a card that would almost have no applications, or they like, it's almost like they purposely tried to make a bad card, and then here it finds a home in some sort of deck. I think that's always cool, the way that Magic works that way.
Forsaken City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So David sacks to Wooded Foothills to go down to 5. So taps for 4 mana to play Frantic Search.
Okay, so that's a card that can give him mana.
Yep.
So it might be a card I think that Ron is interested in countering.
Yeah, just 1 second.
Apparently, Early is not a fan of Frantic Search. He wanted it countered.
The official dog of the stream.
Yes.
He may bark again. If he does, I'll have to excuse myself for a minute.
So we do see an early harvest after he's used a counterspell, but a thwart is there to pick up 3 islands. I'm sure David feels a little deflated at that point.
Yeah. And Ron's got 3 unknowns in hand.
I think it's 3 lands and 2 unknowns, I think.
No, I think it's 3 unknowns.
Is that 3 face down cards?
Yeah. He's got 6
okay,
in
I
hand.
see it now. So we see an impulse out of David. But it, like, a card like this is just kind of so punishing, just tapping your mana when there's a stasis in play.
You gotta tap a land. You don't go down a card to get into black bars.
Yeah. So here's a Xantid Swarm. So that's one of the sideboard cards that we talked about that it's pretty important.
Yeah. Interesting impulse from Ron.
Oh, I don't know how to spell Xantid.
It's Xantid, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I have it, but it's not pulling up.
So he does have the Chain of Vapor for the...
Oh, there we go. I don't know why that took so long. Yeah, I remember when I saw this card, I built a deck. Well, it was more in my head. And it had 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Xantid Swarm, 4 Bone Splitter, 4 Giant Growth, 4 Might of Oaks. So that's what I was using this card for.
Nice. Gotta get those 3 Might of Oaks on that insect.
Yeah. So Chain of Vapor.
For the Swarm. And interestingly, he doesn't Chain of Vapor his Stasis first and then the Swarm.
Yeah, he did have the option. So if you cast Chain of Vapor on your own permanent, because you're the controller of the permanent that got bounced, then you have the ability to sacrifice and chain it back. So I guess at that point, David felt like he couldn't win.
Yeah, looks like he's scooping him up. So let me message them to unmute him, and they can talk briefly about the match, and then we'll go to an intermission and start the next one. Sound good?
Sure. All right. So let's jump.
And you have a good night, sir.
Hey guys, can you
Oh
hear
wait,
me?
we might be doing
Yeah, I have you.
after post game talk or something.
Yeah, he wants us to unmute.
Oh.
You guys are unmuted. If you guys want to talk about anything in the match in terms of maybe what you expected and then how it played out, or want to talk about how you sideboarded.
I just turned my volume back on.
Okay.
What's going on?
I was gonna say we're in the general chatting screen, so if you guys want to talk about anything for the match in terms of did it play out the way that you expected, or how you sideboarded, or anything in general, I guess.
I'll go first. It played out about like I expected. I looked at the deck list pretty good before the match and just kind of keyed on what spells do I need to counter, what spells do I need to make sure don't resolve, and just kind of kept my focus on those. I did counter a couple frantic searches that I didn't plan on it, but I just drew so many dang counters that I just countered everything.
Tough problem to have.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been
going to sideboard. I just took out the powder kegs. Really all they hit in David's list is the 1/1 elves and then the ensnare. I'm not worried about creatures at all. So Hydroblast gives me if a Mana Flare does resolve, I can blow it up later. And Morphling is just better than any of these three bad cards.
Okay.
And it can speed up the clock.
Yeah, we weren't sure if you were gonna leave the powder keg in for the Xantid Swarms that you would expect to come in. So.
Yeah, I did see the Xantid Swarms, but I didn't think that leaving the powder kegs in was worth it. I thought that the Hydroblasts would be better than the powder kegs because they hit. They hit the Burning Wish, they hit the Mana Flare, they hit. I can easily pay 1 mana for the Hydroblast and pay the extra 2 for the Karavex Torch. So I just felt Hydroblast was going to be a lot better in the matchup than the powder keg.
What about you, David? What were your thoughts going into it, and how did it play out relative to that?
I've actually played this matchup twice in the monthly when I played this deck, and I won both of them really handily, but they didn't draw nearly as many counter spells, which I feel like has been the story of both of the matches that I've played so far in this Showdown thing. Just unlimited counter spells. Obviously, you guys know I brought in these 6 cards.
Yeah.
I was prepared for this matchup, and essentially, like, Stasis and Landstill are the same deck, so banning Reanimator was super easy because, like, they win just as slow as each other. They do the exact same things. So I thought this would give me the best shot to win. Game 1, I messed up. I was trying to get him to tap out to my Temporal Fissure so that I could go to my second main phase, Burning Wish for my Karavex Torch and kill him. But I had already tapped Lavish Pioneer.
And I had 2 thwarts and a foil in hand at the time, so...
I didn't know he had 3 counter spells in hand.
Ron always does.
And they all cost 0 mana.
Yeah. But... you let the first Burning Wish resolve, so I was like, maybe I'll just go for it. Like, this game's going nowhere anyway. And I'd rather just end either way that turn. I wasn't...
Yeah, at that point in the game, I wasn't... Because there's really only 2 cards in your sideboard that you wish for against me. One of them's the kill spell, Karavex Torch, and one of them's the Temporal Fissure.
Well, I also have a way to kill your Stasis for free. But, I had, unfortunately, drawn both of my mountains in that second game and had to tap them. I had 2 Burning Wishes, but I had to tap them early to, try to resolve the Mana Flare, and then he Stasis me on, turn 3, so I couldn't Burning Wish to get the Reverend Silence.
Yeah.
Not that anything would have resolved anyway, but...
Game 2 was aggro Stasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, guys, for the games. Congrats, Ron. Better luck next week, David. I think we are going to cut to about a 5-minute intermission. We're going to get the next player set up, take a quick break, and we'll be back in 5.
All right. Y'all have a good night. Good games, David.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and as you can see, our next matchup is between Jared Doucette and Andrew Walker. Just to check, has this updated on the stream, Flint?
Yeah, we've
Okay.
got both names and all
Okay.
3 deck picks there.
Right. I was playing around with something I hadn't done before, and I wanted to make sure that that was actually what people were seeing. So before I got too deep into things, so let's move over to these actual deck lists.
Perfect.
The Angry Ghoul is a deck that is one of the options for Jared, and it's a scary combo deck that I think a lot of people put a lot of respect to, because if you can't interact with the Hermit Druid early, then the deck is a really big threat. But then I wouldn't say it's necessarily a class cannon, because there's a lot of interaction in terms of Unmask and Duress, and there's a Cabal Therapy and whatnot. But if you have a good cheap interactions to the Hermit Druid, then I think this deck is a little bit less scary. But otherwise, it's looking to put a 2020 or bigger Suture Ghoul in play right away.
Yep.
All right, talk about goblins.
All right, I'm waiting for the picture to show up here, but I know Jared is on a red-green goblins list. There it is. Game 1, it's all red, but game 2, we can splash green, bringing those naturalizes. Artifacts and enchantments are the most powerful cards in the format, and so being able to interact with those is really important. And a lot of goblins lists can't unless they splash black and try to duress it away or naturalize it later. Also, he's got Collar of the Claw in case there's any kind of a sweeper shenanigan going on, whether that's Starstorm for one of Andrew's decks, or it's a Pyroclasm, or whatever it might be, in order to sort of quickly have all the creatures back in play. But we've talked about goblins before. We love it. It's a fun deck. It's a classic deck. It can kill really quickly with a lackey into a siege gang, but it can also go the distance. You can play your ringleaders and get more goblins. It's just a really cool, interactive, fun deck to play.
And then Jared's last option is the Esper Stiflenought. And so this is just a very consistent version of the Stiflenought deck. It has Enlightened Tutor is one of the cards that it splashes for, and that is so it can get Phyrexian Dreadnought. It's just so then basically you have 8 copies of Dreadnought and 8 copies of the Stifle or Vision Charm. The white also helps out because you have Meddling Mage, you can name problematic cards, and then it's splashing black for Duress. So that is to proactively take the cards out of your hand, out of the opponent's hand, something like a Swords of Plowshares, so you don't have to worry about countering it or something.
It's interesting too, just if I may jump in. So Jared talks all the time about how Duress is his favorite card, and he thinks it's the strongest card in the format, and it might be, but I actually think the strongest card in the format is Enlightened Tutor. It's just really powerful. It can get the most powerful cards in the format. It can allow you to run Silver Bullet sideboards, and so I like it in this deck because not only can you get the Dreadnought, but also after he sideboards, he can get key sideboard cards. He can get his Null Rod, he can get his Chill, he can get his Seal of Removal, he can get Tormod's Crypt, and so because of that, I really love these running it, and it's interesting to see his pick for most powerful card and my pick for most powerful card juxtaposed there side by side.
Yeah. All right, I will bring up Andrew's lists. So the Oath deck, and the creature of choice that he has here is Phantom Neshoba. So whenever he's oathing up in game 1, he's going to hit that big life-gaining beast. I don't know. I don't remember what Spirit Beast. I don't know what the creature type is. But if you don't have creatures, then he's looking to use Funeral Pyre to give it a token, though that probably isn't going to be an issue against any of Jared's deck, as they're all pretty creature based. Though I guess maybe the Hermit Druid one is kind of like you might not care about him oathing. And then other than that, there's just some cards that either stall or set up this interaction. So the Scroll Rack and Land Tax is really his card advantage engine, and then he has Moment's Peace to kind of stall the board, and then he's got some random Dragon's Breath or Zurin Orb, random cards that are less specific or more situational that he hopes to kind of have access to if he has a Scroll Rack going. So the next deck, let's talk about the Squeebind deck that Andrew brought. Flint, do you want to go over this one?
Yeah, I can talk about this one. So this is an interesting deck. Um, if you look at Ron's decks, each one kind of has an engine, or not Ron's deck, excuse me, Andrew's decks. Each one kind of has an engine, right? So his Oath deck has an engine in Oath. His Enchantress deck has the engine with enchantments, and then Squeebine uses Horn Ingredient Exploration to really ramp up as quickly as possible. And so what Andrew's really looking to do is to control the creatures on the board with removal like Incinerate and Lightning Bolt, and of course Starstorm. But then also what he really wants to do is he wants to be able to get this engine going with Naturalize, with Exploration, play a bunch of lands, potentially bounce them back to his hand if they're undiscovered paradises, and then eventually run out of Stormbind, gamble for a Squee, and kill the opponent with Stormbind. The other thing he does run 3 Naturalize main, which gives him an advantage against a lot of the problematic cards that show up in the format. Again, the enchantments and the artifacts.
Okay, and then the last one that Andrew has in his arsenal is the blue-green Enchantress deck. And so while it has a bunch of enchantments, this is a combo deck that looks to put a number of enchantments on a land, so with Wild Growth or Fertile Ground, and then it can set up an engine with Cloud of Fairies, Words of Wind, and then Enchantress Presence or Argothian Enchantress. And so it's able to set up a loop of where it's able to draw cards, then use a mana to return a card, which it would return the Cloud of Fairies, and then play that and untap the land, so it would gain mana, and then it's able to pick up enchantments and play those, and then draw cards with the engine. And so it's looking to bounce all your opponent's permanents and then take over the board there, and then basically he can win at will because he's able to do that every turn. So if your opponent can't win with 1 mana, you're just going to kill him with maybe a Cloud of Fairies, or he has a Living Wish package and he could get like Palancron or something. At that point it's kind of trivial, so it's just he's able to bounce the entire board.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the bands and let's make some predictions. So if I'm from Jared's perspective, I think most of my decks are fast enough against the Stormbind deck, so I don't think I'm banning that one. I'm trying to think of the bounce in the blue-green Enchantress deck is. I think I would ban the Oath deck is what I would ban, and leave the Enchantress or the Stormbind deck. What do you think?
I think that you're probably right, but if I'm Jared, I might ban the Enchantress deck because it's got Seal Removal's main at least, so it can interact with things like Dreadnought. It can interact with Lackey turn 1, and if it's fast enough, the deck can kill turn 4.
Okay.
So if Jared doesn't have a blistering starter to way to disrupt Andrew, the Enchantress deck will just kill him.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was to say, I think you're right in terms of with the Seal of Removal. It definitely is really good against the Hermit Druid or the Stifle Knot deck, and there is a little bit of a liability with the Goblins deck, though. I guess if you banned Oath, then you could play the Goblins deck, I think, and be happy pretty much either of them.
I think you're probably right.
But I guess that also depends. The problem is what if Andrew bans the Goblin deck? Though I think that's pretty unlikely because I feel like, but we can see. So I guess you're going in Enchantress, and I'm going to say Oath. And from Andrew's perspective, what would you ban of Jared's?
I'd ban Stifle Knot. Okay. It just can interact with your hand. It can interact with your game plan, and put its Wild Clover to play in turn 2. That's very scary. It's like that. That's what the Hermit Druid deck does, but it's more of a glass cannon than Stifle Knot. So I think I would just ban that one.
I'm going to say that he's going to ban the Hermit Druid deck, but we'll see how that goes. So, all right, let's jump into the match. You want to let them know?
Yep, I'll let them know they can start.
And let me reset these life totals. There are no free game wins for these players, and they do have to start at 20 each. So, all right, chat. What decks are you hoping to see from the players? So that looks. Is that a Wooded Foothills?
Yeah, we've got a Wooded Foothills from Jared and a Mishra's Factory from Andrew.
So let me flip around Andrew's screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So the factory is in his.
Yeah, it looks like Robin called it. So it's goblins from Jerry.
And
Jerry guy.
Is it Stormbind? Is that the one that the Mistress Factory is in?
I think so.
All right. Well, I will update. I'll definitely update Jared's first, and then
Let me look at Andrew's list.
And I'll update the life totals too later. But goblins.
Yeah, Mistress Factory is in Stormbind.
Okay. So we get to see this deck in action, which is pretty cool. But I'm a little worried because I feel like the goblins might be able to either come out super fast or might be able to outcard the red-green control combo deck. I don't know what you want to call it.
I don't know. I mean, I actually think that Andrew might be advantaged here. He's just got a lot of early removal, and then a Starstorm wipes the board, and then all he has to do after that is have a Squee and a Stormbind, and he can take control of the game. Turn game one at least before Jared has Naturalize.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess he does have 4 Star Storms.
Yeah,
but it is kind of a clunky card.
We didn't see a turn one Lackey.
Yeah.
From Jared. So I actually think if Andrew has 1 or 2 burn spells in hand, he's favored game 1. But game 2, game 3, if Goblins is fast, it's game over.
I mean, there's still always the option. There's ringleaders and matrons and siege gang commanders that.
Oh my!
So I don't know. I'm not going to bet against the Goblin deck. It's pretty much what I'm saying.
All right. So you got Gabbo's game 1. I got Stormbind game 1.
Yeah. What are the life totals at right now? We got Jared at 19.
Yeah.
Has he not attacked? Oh, I guess there has been a Mistress Factory sitting in play. So. Though, I mean, with the Tinker, I don't know, you can get in there because you don't have to worry about the factory blocking if you have an active Tinker.
That's very true. I love that Goblins has a tutor, Goblin Matron, and you can run the one Tinker, you can run the one Sharpshooter. Like, such a cool deck.
Yeah, well, I mean, like nowadays, the Goblins have a lot, like in a modern card pool, the Goblins have a lot more versatility or things that they can do with it.
Oh yeah.
But like back in the day, it wasn't that impressive, especially when it was printed. It just I don't even know what the most exciting card it could get was. All right, so on Jared's board, he's got a pile driver, which could get a bunch of power, but he's got to get rid of that Mistress Factory first, because otherwise he's probably not willing to trade the pile driver for a Mistress Factory. Though, I mean, at some points, maybe a land is more valuable to Andrew than a creature is to Jared. But with him only at 2 lands, I guess he's probably trying to figure out, okay, how can I play to the board without getting blown out by one of the sweeper effects like Starstorm, but apply enough pressure. But I mean, yeah, I guess he definitely can attack because of the Tinker. So
for sure,
pile driver gets. So did he just not do that, or did he just not do that one of the turns? Because he was on the play, like on his 3rd turn. Why did he?
Yeah. He should have attacked to blow up the factory for sure. So chat, Robin in chat saying not loving this keep by Jared, feels too slow against Andrew's list. Agreed, he does feel too slow. Jared, we were listening to them when they were getting ready, and he mulliganed down and then was like, this is okay, but I don't really want to go down any further in number of cards. So sounds like he was borderline keep.
Well, this is Jared's 5th turn. So there was a turn on his turn 4. He had an active Tinker and a pile driver. So the attack that he's doing, I'm pretty sure, was available to him the turn before.
Yeah, he could have swung in with the Tinker and the pile driver. Incinerate. What is that? Incinerate?
Yeah, looks like
from
it.
Andrew. What's he going to burn? The Tinker or the Pile Driver? No, he burns the Prospector.
I would have burned the Tinker and then activated and blocked the Prospector.
I think that means he may have a Starstorm in hand.
Yeah, but what is?
Or no, just another Incinerate.
Because you.
It's this is during combat though, right? Like,
Yeah, it must be, but. Yeah, I don't know. I would have just eaten the Skirk Prospector with the land, because you take it with the 2/2, and if he tries to shoot it with the, um, if you would shoot the factory, then you can tap it and make it bigger.
I mean, there's a potential Gem Palm Incinerator that could take out the factory.
Sure. So
Oh, we got some good feedback in chat from Zelda Griffin.
Stormbind comes down. So this is one of the key cards that kind of like the kill condition out of Andrew's deck, but it's if he doesn't have. I mean, it's kind of awkward if you're playing a control route. If you have a card like Starstorm in your hand, and you're kind of waiting for the opportune time to play it, you can't really activate Stormbind if. I mean, I guess they kind of do the same thing, but you're worried about discarding one of those cards,
Right.
because it is at random.
So Felder Griffey, yeah, just to be clear, Michael and I don't know what the bannings are. They're done ahead of time, but we don't know. And so we speculate and talk about the decks. But if you feel like, that downtime where we're talking about decks and speculating isn't exciting or isn't entertaining, then yeah, we definitely appreciate the feedback and chat more generally. Let us know what you think about that part of the stream or the stream more generally, because we're always looking to improve it. And certainly we'd love to do a series too if people, want to do it and we have the time. So we'll definitely take all feedback to heart. So appreciate that.
So Jared still only has 2 mana, so I think that's really the biggest limiting factor for him in this game is he just hasn't had the mana.
We're in agreement.
All right, so here's another part of the engine for Andrew.
Personal favorite card of mine, of course. Big fan of Horn Greed. No one ran a lands deck. Nobody decided to run a lands deck. It was very sad.
Did Jared draw land right after he plays Hornegreed? Does not look like it.
No.
So he has a lackey. So, I mean, he's going to discard a card at random. Presumably targeting the lackey.
Right. Felder Griffey, just a deeper dive into expectations. Yeah, we can certainly do that.
So Hornegreed gets
we talked
discarded
about that.
and takes out the lackey, and then 1 gets through from the Mog Fanatic.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So is this winnable from this point for Jared?
I mean, he just needs land. He needs some lands, and then I think I guess it's kind of like the spot where, I mean, Andrew's probably not going to tap out ever, so it's hard to set up a War Chief pile driver kind of scenario. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess yeah, it's tough. I mean, the other way to do it is get a bunch of lands in play, and then a Siege Gang might be able to do a bunch of damage, because even if he's trying to get rid of it, you can throw a bunch of goblins at him, but that takes a lot of mana and or goblins, which Jared doesn't have particularly many of either right now. I mean, the other thing is if he's able to chip away, and Andrew, I think he needs to get rid of that Tinker, because then the threat of blocking with that factory is just so much more. I guess, I mean, there's a Wasteland in play now, so maybe that point doesn't matter, but All right, we got an activation of Stormbind. One of 4 cards is going to get pitched. Is one of them a squee, do you think? Nope, that's an undiscovered paradise.
Oh,
There are only, I think, 2 squeeze in his list, so it's not a card that he's going to have in his opening hand right away.
yeah. It's where he runs the gamble for him. Just really nice combo. So Andrew goes to 16.
So Jared, interesting that he is using Wasteland because it's. I mean, I have to assume that he has cards in his hand that. I mean, I guess he's trying to stop the engine of Horn of Greed and Undiscovered Paradise, so I guess that makes sense. But it probably stings a lot for him thinking because this was the 7th or 8th turn and he finally got his 3rd land, so him having to lose the Wasteland is, I think, probably hurts him a lot.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Paradise from Andrew. So it's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough. I do think wasting the Paradise was the right call.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just hurts a lot because it's like, I mean, I'm just guessing there's a bunch of 4 drops or something in his hand. So he uses the Tinker. Oh, no. Wait. Okay.
He's getting rid of the Horn of Greed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw it go to the graveyard and then I thought maybe, and I didn't see Andrew moving his Horn of Greed, so.
What comes around goes around, right, Robin?
All right, so here is a Matron.
Let's see.
Is there any card that really can punish Andrew from the spot? I can't really think of anything. I think like Ringleader is probably the card, but
yeah,
we're pretty sure that Jared doesn't have a land in his hand.
I think he's still got Ringleader. Yeah.
Would you follow the Goblin Ringleader?
What's up?
Would you follow the Goblin Ringleader?
Oh, yeah.
Do you see where he's leading you?
Right into the Script Prospector's clutches.
No, he's leading you off a cliff.
Is he?
Yeah.
I never realized that with that card. That's amazing.
There's a video where Andrea Mangucci was like playing a Goblins deck, and his comment on the art was like how the torso of the Goblin is like twisted like completely 180. Like his feet are facing the canyon, but his like body.
Oh yeah, he's got a 180 going.
It's like he's like part owl, I guess. So
perhaps.
And he wants to know like is that something that all goblins can do, or maybe just this Goblin Ringleader has a special ability to twist his torso in weird ways.
That's amazing. So we what do we got? A lackey and a war chief. Okay. All right, Jared's still in it. What's he discarding? Crazy.
So if you, what does that say about your hand if you're using a spell as compared to discarding a card at random? What cards would you want?
Maybe he's got another Horn of Greed in his hand.
Would he not have played it last turn? Are there any cards that he like really feels like he needs to keep in his hand? All right, so Wasteland takes out Carplusion Forest. So yep. Jared is once again back down to 3 mana. Oh, I think I missed some life totals. Oh, no, it is. It's 16 to 18. Okay.
Yeah. Jared's 18.
Oh, here's a Goblin King. I guess that's a lot less exciting with the Stormbind in play, but I was going to say that'd be a way to kind of increase the clock, but it's probably not long for this world.
Yeah.
You can't block him. No blocking. No blocking allowed. All right. Maybe blocking will be allowed.
So Stormbinding.
Pick the middle card. Another Stormbind. That's fine. I don't think the second one of those does very much. So 2 damage is getting through? Well, presumably. Well.
Yep, 14.
I mean, wouldn't you use like your factory to block? Like, wouldn't you trade your factory for both of those cards? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Jared's tapped out, so yeah, I think you definitely activate factory there and you block. There's no reason not to.
I mean, because I think your life total is the most important resource in this spot, and if you're just able to stay out, I mean, like, not that he's like close to getting burned out or anything, but I mean, you could also just block the Mug Fanatic. It's like a free block, right?
Yeah, you block the Mug Fanatic.
Like, if you don't want to trade your factory for both cards, you can just block the Mug Fanatic.
Yep. So, did I miss something? Did he play a land that turn? Did Andrew play a land? Did he not return
so. He
that?
Just played Explore.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't return that Discovered Paradise to his hand. He didn't tap it into turn to do that.
I guess not.
Well, I guess he doesn't need to without the Horn Agreed, but
oh, sure.
Yeah, that's probably why. He really needs a squeeze.
Do we know any of the cards in Jared's hand? We saw War Chief and we saw a Lackey, right? Those were the cards that he saw.
I think he has a Lackey still.
No, there was one play before. And the War Chief, there's a War Chief in the graveyard, so.
There's a War Chief, and there's the Lackey.
I mean, so Andrew has 1 card in his hand? Or does he have 2?
He's got 2.
So now Jared, I was going to say, so he's attacking with everything.
So you Stormbind the you Stormbind the Lackey and block the Fanatic.
Yeah. Or you could Stormbind twice. Is that another Stormbind? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He Stormbinded the War Chief?
Well, if he's Stormbinding the Lackey too.
So now he's going to block the Fanatic.
Now he's going to block? All right.
Goblins are a tenacious bunch.
All right, so.
Love to grind. Just ask Sparksman.
All right, Jared got him down to 12, but I guess I do not like Goblin's position from here. Though, I mean, there is hope, right? Because there's an Undiscovered Paradise in Andrew's hand, and then he gets a pick of the top 3. So it's kind of like he's not. I mean, I guess he gets to shoot something every turn. So there's a Wooded Foothills. I think probably the most relevant part about that card right now is it shuffles Andrew's library. So it gives him 3 new cards to look at from the Miri's Guile the next turn. I mean, I guess he draws a card too from. Oh no, he doesn't have a Hornegrin in play. Sorry.
I know. I keep thinking it's there too.
Yeah. I don't know.
He beats on Ron's side.
All right, so Goblin Matron. What card would you want to get? It's probably a Ringleader, I would think.
Yeah.
You can let Lackey attack. Oh, you're saying just use it on the
War Chief, so Lackey just can't swing in.
Yeah. All right, so we do see another Goblin Ringleader.
Yeah.
So Jared's gonna try. It's kind of just though it's like I guess it's okay. It's a card that draws cards, and it's something that Andrew has to deal with. Though I guess the factory has the threat of blocking. Though I don't know. I mean, just the kind of way he didn't block with it before, though it might change that his life total's lower and he has more lands. If Jared just represents having like a way to deal with the factory, maybe Andrew's not willing to block and he can get in some damage. So we saw Bloodstained Mire.
Yeah.
That puts Andrew to 10. So I think they're deciding of if he wants to do it in response to a Horn of Greed trigger or not. And I think he is. So he'll be able to draw. Oh, it's whenever you play a land, though. So yeah, he's not going to get 2 cards, but he is just thinning out his deck, so a little bit less likely to draw a land.
Exactly.
How many mountains are in his deck?
Let me pull it up.
Did he just fail to find?
Did he? He's got 3 mountains in his deck.
Yeah, I think there's 3 in play.
And 3 forests as well. That was a Bloodstained Mire, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so 2 Mothers of Goblins are coming into play.
Yikes. Yeah, I think, Ron, you got a point. Maybe he wanted to shuffle his deck from the nearest guy.
Well, I think him doing it on his turn, he was thinking he was going to get a land, but then didn't realize it. So 1 Goblin Matron dies, but 1 gets through. A CJ comes down. So, I mean, we haven't seen Starstorm yet, so it's kind of like... Oh, there's a squeeze.
There's a squeeze.
Okay. So now the fun begins.
So I was going to make it brutal here.
So this is the other part of the engine that he really has. So he's just going to be able to, at worst, Stormbite and have a 50-50 shot of discarding the squee. Because at this point, you probably just do it during your upkeep, right? Before your draw. Well, I guess you kind of didn't want to tap that Undiscovered Paradise at this point, right? Because if you could always use this, put the squee on the stack, put it back in your hand, then use the Stormbind right away before you've drawn a card, so you're controlling what card you discard.
Yeah. I mean, you can also use Stormbind in response to the draw trigger from Horn of Greed as well, kind of depending on the draw.
Yeah, but he's got the card in hand that he draws at this point.
There's Starstorm.
Okay, so we see Starstorm. So
it's an instant though, right? Why is he doing it right now?
I don't know. Could be afraid of Skirk Prospector, but because you could just do it in response to that.
Yeah, I mean, you do it during combat, so.
He was just so excited. He's been trying to draw that.
I've totally been there. I'm just drawing. I'm like, ooh, I got to play it right now. I'm so excited.
Yes.
We've all been there, right?
Yes.
Right, Mike? Right?
I have. Yep. All right, I got a backup Siege Gang. That's not surprising, given how many turns this game's gone, and he hasn't been. There is a bolt. That takes out the Siege Gang.
He's going to kill a goblin squee.
Okay.
So, definitely like Andrew's chances even more.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that Jared can do from this spot. I think it's pretty unlikely that he finds a way to win. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of hope because there is a Horn and Greed in play that, like, every land you draw draws you into another card. But
yeah.
I can't even think of, like, a board state of, like, a sequence of plays of how to do it.
Did Andrew draw from Horn and Greed?
I don't know.
Just messaged him.
Apparently, Andrew's not very greedy.
Cool. All right. Looks like they got it. Okay. So.
All right, more Siege Gang commanders.
Whew.
All right, he's trying to get it done. I mean, I guess like in theory, this could work. I could see it.
Another ball. I mean, it's the third. Is it the third Siege Gang?
Yes.
So he's gonna kill the ones who don't have Summoning Sickness, and then take his turn. Get a sweet squee back. Definitely don't want to miss that trigger. I think I'd be putting a die on top of my library.
Yeah, I guess even with that Siege Gang, like the board's pretty much taken care of still. So
Double Undiscovered Paradise now for Andrew, so he's going to draw 3 cards a turn. I think if I'm Jared, I might scoop now just to save time and try to win games 2 and 3 quickly.
yeah, I think you do have definitely a better shot in the post-border games.
Yeah, after Naturalize comes in, way better.
Yeah.
Well, Captain Rogers won.
All right. Well, we know it's going good for Andrew if he's attacking with Mishra's factories.
For sure.
He'll triple block 1. Maybe he'll think about it. He's gonna take 4.
Don't sound so excited, Mike.
I'm very tired. I had a long work day, so
14 for Jared, 9 for Andrew. Let's see what Jared's got left.
he got a full 4. Gem Home Incinerator. I didn't see them all. I think there was a War Chief. There might have been another ringleader. I think it was a Mog Fanatic. I don't know.
Some bolts ringleader. Starstone for.
They're just using the.
That was a squee and a land. So he's going to take 1. Yeah. Let's take.
All right. Well, Jared's doing what he can. I mean.
Yeah. He's fighting the good goblin fight.
Yeah, but still, like, I mean, I don't think he'll be able to finish this off. There's not, like, from the spot, it's really hard to get the reach because you can't build up a board ever. And the cards that kind of deal direct damage are Mog Fanatic and Siege Gang Commander. There's one Siege Gang Commander left, and you'd need to have, like, a bunch of mana in play. And even then, Andrew could just, respond to the trigger that comes into play effect and kill the Siege Gang, and then you're only dealing 2. But I was thinking, like, maybe if you had 9 mana, you could deal 4 damage or something, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Swings in with 1 factory.
Which factory would you have attacked with?
Winter, clearly.
Winter.
I get some use out of that. So Jared goes to 11. Plays land, draws the card. Very good, very good. I mean, he's got 6 mana now, so he could build a board presence. I think
it's pretty hard to build a board presence, though. That's the thing.
it is. I agree. I mean, I think a 4th Siege Gang commander into like a ringleader and some other goblins, maybe. I don't know. It's pretty bleak.
Oh, there's
so what does he got?
War Chief, Goblin Pyromancer, and I think it was another 1-drop, but I didn't see which one.
Yeah, he hit 3. So it comes in with 2 again.
Huh? How many cards does Andrew have in his hand? Because having both the factories tapped is a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
This is a Starstorm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So he sacks 1 to the face, down to 7.
Yeah, this looks like a tricky spot for Jared.
Take a look at the time here. All right, we're 30 minutes in on my messaging.
All right, 2 Mug Fanatics. So I mean, I guess Jared's got him at 5 at worst. But yeah, that final points of damage I think is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, has to discard to hand size. He's got a full grip of goblins.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funny if this is a matchup where Goblin or Patriarch's bidding. If you're playing the Black Splash, would be
real
good.
That'd be so good.
Andrew would even get his goblins back too.
He would. Fair. It's true.
Be very
Old
fair.
Magic was very fair.
Yeah.
All elves count. All goblins count. All zombies count.
What creature type do you think Andrew would name?
Oof.
Wasteland takes out Purple Vision Forest, but in the main deck there aren't any green cards, so
yeah.
Is that a creature type?
Apparently. Isn't Badger a creature type? Isn't there like a Badger in Homelands or something too? That's another kind of random one.
Yeah.
It's a Giant Badger or something.
That card was reprinted in like 8th edition or 9th edition too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll just look up the most recent one. Yeah, 8th edition, Giant Badger. Or what is it? A Brushwag?
I like the old Giant Badger better.
I can't bring up legend cards.
I know. Well, I think it's Homelands, right?
Is it? Maybe.
So Captain Rogers wants to know if we can sub if they can sub the channel soon.
Yeah, so I just got all the goals to get the affiliate status. I submitted the tax information that I needed, and they need to approve it. And then there's another step, and I think then I'll have the sub button. So.
So we got War Chief from Jared, and he's thinking about his follow-up here.
Yeah, it's just kind of tricky because it's kind of like, unless you have a bunch of War Chiefs, you can't like play a bunch of goblins and then say I'm going to attack, because then Andrew always has the option to just shoot down the War Chief and then all your goblins are summoning sick again.
So there's a Lackey. So let's see if Andrew catches it now. Oh no, doesn't. Lets him go to attackers.
Lets him attack. The blanket's coming out. Jared's getting comfortable. He's like, at that last attack, he's like, I got a breath on life. Oh, Starstorm.
Oh god, Premodern emotes would be awesome. If we have any artists out there who want to help make some, then that would be rad.
Do affiliates get emotes? I'm not sure. I'm not sure you get to be partner status first. I'm not sure.
Well, I think, yeah, we'll have to get up to that point. But if, we've got a really creative crew. So, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there with graphic design backgrounds who could make us.
Well, the hardest metric I will have is I need to average 75 viewers to get partner status. So that's
all right.
It's going to take a while to grow the channel to get to that point. But
tell your significant others. Tell your neighbors. Tell your neighbors' dogs.
And your mothers.
Tell everybody.
Yep.
Your neighbors' dogs and mothers.
All right. So in the meanwhile, when we were chatting,
right. Yeah,
Jared scooped it up. So
Jared scooped.
Let's go back to the decks and figure out if Jared has a way to fight this deck. Let's pull up. Jared's list. So the Goblins deck. So he has 4 naturalized in the sideboard. They're all coming in. I mean, there's a million different targets that he can have. And
Yeah.
I think, like, so I'll have to look at Andrew's sideboard, but Jared's plan might be like, I'm just going to save these for the Stormbind, and I can deal with everything else. Like, all the other cards, like, don't matter that much. He also could bring in Tormod's Crypt to do something against the Squee. I mean, that's a little more narrow, but I mean, definitely you're bringing in the Call or the Claws, because it...
Sorry, I was looking at chat there. Yes, I agree. I would say absolutely bring in the Naturalized, absolutely bring in Collar the Claw. I don't know if I would bring in Tormod's Crypt. It's not pivotal to Andrew's plan. If Andrew gets to that point, it's not as good. And you really want to hit off those ringleaders, and you're already reducing your hits with bringing in 6 cards. That would be my guess, is you just bring in 4 Naturalizes and 2 Collar the Claws.
Well, he's definitely going to bring in the Forest.
Oh, sure. And the Forest for a mountain effect.
All right, so let's go over to Andrew's list and see what changes. So he probably, I mean, brings in Elephant Grass, I would think. You could bring in, I don't know if Ensnaring Bridges is good enough. It's kind of awkward with, like, because a lot of the goblins are pretty small that they still are probably able to attack. So I don't know if I would bring that one in. But Curse Totem is also another card that is the option he could bring in. Would you bring in Curse Totem? So I guess it's good against Prospector. It's good against... I mean, I don't know if it's good against Mog Fanatic, but it does something against it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so many Goblin abilities are triggered abilities, right?
Well, yeah. So...
I like the Elephant Grass.
What cards are you taking out?
For Andrew?
Crozen Reclamation?
Yeah, I think you take out Crozen Reclamation, and I think you
Oh, they're naturalized, right? He has 3 naturalized main deck. He can take those out.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty easy sideboard.
All right. So, do you... who do you like in this next game, I guess? Because, I mean, so... Flint, or I mean not Flint.
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, Jared can always win a game by just going turn 1 Lackey and Andrew not having a way to interact with it.
A lightning bolt. Yeah, if he doesn't have a lightning bolt, it's probably good games if there's some change.
Yeah, because I guess even Elephant Grass, he probably has a land to pay for the attack.
Absolutely.
So, well, I don't know how aggressive. That's always one of the things is you like look at a decent hand. And you know you're playing against goblins, and it's kind of like your opponent kept 7. It's like, do you need to mulligan because you need to find a bolt? And it's kind of like, it's kind of a tricky situation because it's a slippery slope. Because if you're mulliganing, obviously you're decreasing your odds of winning in terms of if you're throwing away like a decent hand that would otherwise be good, then you're kind of chancing things. Because I mean, there's no guarantee that you have the bolt on the next hand, or just even if you do, that your hand, the rest of your hand could be a lot worse. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see Elephant Grass because that, given how many times that they've played, I know it seems like every time in the podcast that Andrew brings up the Elephant Grass to Jared. So I'm sure Fate will have them have those 2 cards, or have that card come down against Jared playing goblins again.
So it looks like Jared's looking at his hand here.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to let them know that they're good to go. Sound good?
Sure. All right, so I'll just preemptively bring up a Goblin Lackey. We'll see how this goes. So Jared mulliganed, which isn't always a bad thing, because there you go.
Boom.
All right, so
where's that lightning bolt?
Does Andrew have the lightning bolt? I think so. Oh. Well, I mean, unless he's like playing an exploration or something. But I think he's probably has a bolt.
Yeah, he's just showing him.
All right, yep. Lightning bolt. More lackeys.
I'll see your bolt and it'll raise you. Another lackey.
Yeah, but
Now there's Incinerate.
and Mishra's Factory is a card too. Oh, yeah. So there's a lot more outs he has from this point, but still, that lackey is scary. We're all waiting on our heels. What's gonna happen? Is a forest. Oh,
Yeah, there's
okay,
Incinerate.
so,
Oh man. Whew.
all right, so Goblin War Chief. Jared will take a point to cast his War Chief, but he'll deal 2.
Yeah.
So we saw 2 burn spells go to the War Chief. Or to the lackeys. I mean, I can see Andrew being out of removal spells,
Near
and
future.
now Pile Driver gets more relevant, or just like the next turn if you go like land Goblin Matron Pile Driver, you're attacking for 3, 8. So you definitely have a lot of power from this position. Also, like that Wasteland might be able to tie up Andrew's mana, like keep him off Starstorm, and keep applying the pressure. So, like, if this War Chief stays in play, then I think I like Jared's position actually.
Agreed. Let's get a thirsty dog there. Also, apparently some talk about my hair.
Oh, is that what that noise was?
Yeah, early came in and was drinking water. It's fine. Sorry, everybody. It
I heard it, but I didn't process what it was. So
was actually me drinking a beer. That's what it was.
Ooh.
Oh, there it is.
Who needs
Wow.
a matron when you just have 2 of them? So the
Wow, it's 5 for Pile Driver.
So each of those are 5 power, so it's 12
So it's
damage.
12?
Yeah.
Oh, what a swing. No response. Andrew's down to 4. That's how it's done, Goblins. Whew.
Yes.
Whew.
Wait, Andrew's at 4? I know he took a pain that... Okay, so there's a Starstorm. Once again, like... He's casting it main phase.
I know.
This is where like
so
a War
weird.
Chief like really could punish that. Or a Ringleader, yeah. I guess there's an argument because of War Chief being in play that you would not want to let him untap. But I don't know, like
Reduce the cost of 1 Goblin.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're just committing more cards, then you're gonna kill.
Yeah, what's he gonna play with more than 2 toughness?
Yeah, Goblin Goon. That'd be a sweet
Come on,
one.
flunkies.
The Goon is sweet.
Oh, Squee, you traitor. What are you doing on that side of the board?
Yeah, who's the Goblin deck now? So, the Goonaroo. No one plays creatures in Premodern anyways. This guy just always can attack. Cursed Totem.
So he did bring in the totem.
Okay. Let's bring that one up. That one's from Mirage, right?
Yeah. Who's the other giant goblin? Is it like Ock? It's like OKK or something?
Yeah, that's a 4/4 for 2. I don't think he's a goblin though.
Oh, he's not.
Maybe he is. Why can't I find Mirage? Okay. So Cursed Totem. Players cannot play any creature abilities requiring an activation cost. So does
That includes abilities, ladies and gentlemen.
that shuts down Gem Palm Incinerator, right? You can't cycle that, I don't think.
Does it?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe it's not activated. I don't know.
No. I actually don't know that one.
I don't know if that'll come up. There might not be Gem Palm Incinerator in his deck anymore.
So misses all 4 lands and a naturalize there, and then an incinerate. So chat, what do you think? Does Curse Totem shut down Gem Palm Incinerator, the cycle ability? Felder Griffey, I believe he has 3 forests and 3 mountains.
All right, that ringleader was a little bit better. There's a Tinker, a Lackey, and another ringleader. he's not able to attack because of the elephant grass.
Yeah, 3 forest, 3 mountain.
All right, starting to get greedy now.
Yeah, it is creatures in play. According to Mike Harris, that's kind of what I thought, since it's not in play and it's not affected.
Does it say in play on the card? I didn't even.
It just says players cannot play any creature activity. Blah blah blah. Doesn't say in play. We could do a deeper dive, or maybe the pre-mod cast could do a dive if it doesn't come up tonight. Blackie.
He's gonna pay 2 so he can attack. Oh, or maybe he's playing more cards. Pile driver. So it's kind of awkward because it's kind of like you're not gonna be able to attack with all 3 of those next.
Gets him Discover Paradise to stop the machine.
Yeah.
I think that's worth it.
So 2 mana goes in to pay the cumulative upkeep of Elephant Grass. There's not a difference between a creature card and a creature. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that was from the text that's on that card. Unless I misread it, and yeah, from that text I would not have guessed that, so.
Just gonna quickly check time here.
All right, so there's more grass. More grass. That's what we're seeing here. But I'm trying to think, like, this is almost a spot where, like, Jared's out might just be, okay, I'm just going to build a board, wait for the cumulative upkeep to be too expensive, and then hope he doesn't draw a Starstorm. I don't know. I feel like that's a reasonable way to win. He's only got to deal 4, too, so, I mean, like, he drew a million Mogfin. I guess there's a Curse Totem in play, so that's not getting sacrificed the way it did in the last game, but I don't know. He might be able to sneak in some damage.
Natural. Yeah, Ron.
Yep.
Yeah, Ron's seen the same thing, Ron.
Yeah. Yeah, and if Andrew's giving Jared time, he's going to draw some of those cards. Did we see him push any Naturalize to the bottom off of that first ringleader?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one.
And I don't know if he shuffled his deck since, but okay, so 1 grass goes away. There's an exploration.
All right, so we're kind of at a tipping point where the game could get out of hand.
Oh, so
okay. Yep. There's Naturalize.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So how many cards are in Andrew's hand? Because
2.
And I guess he does have mana to Starstorm, but I mean, Jared can't play around it, and there's a Squee in play too. Oh, there's a Starstorm.
Oh, he had it. Woo!
But I mean, it's not like Jared's just dead. He's still got cards in his hand, and
for sure.
Squee's dead. Squee needs to die.
Oh, the color of the claw! Wow, nice.
Andrew's Squee is dead.
Bears.
Can you message him?
Yeah. I got it. Great.
Okay. So, I guess I'll bring up Collar of the Claw since that came into play.
typically played in elves, but a nice addition for red-winged goblins.
I always like to play with this card with when it was like in standard and casual decks with Nantuko Husk and this, and it was cool. All right, so there's a bolt, but do you want to target this or you want to target a bear token? I mean, I don't think it makes a difference.
I mean, he's got another Color of the Claw later.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
Then it matters, right? Because it's non-token.
Yes. So. I assume Andrew's died.
I assume
right?
it's him, yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be too presumptuous, but I guess I don't know what Andrew would have needed to do to have Jared concede there.
Right, Jared's shuffling, so looks like they're going to game 3. All right, Chad, who do we got? So there's not much time left in this round. There's just over 10 minutes left. So Goblins has got to win fast if it's going to win. You think Goblins will pull it out in time?
It is on the draw, so I mean, I don't know. I think they definitely can win, and it's you definitely have a better game plan of waiting around because you have both the Collar of the Claw and the Naturalizers, which are really good. So I mean, I'm not sure if obviously I haven't played this matchup, but I almost want to say that the Goblin deck is advantaged in the post-boarded games.
I agree. I do think Goblins is advantaged. It's just a matter of whether or not Jared gets the draw that he needs to really close it out quickly. I think Goblins is also favored in the locker game, just given the naturalized effects on Stormblind and the Color of the Claws. But with time winding down here, I think the Goblins deck has to win fast if it's going to win. Then again, we thought Andrew was down and out last week when he played in one of the games, and he came back and won it with his own deck. So, you can't rule Andrew out.
Yeah.
So chat is calling it, Rob. Robin's got Lackey in the Siege game with no removal on Andrew's side, so that's going to go down. Prognosticating here, we'll see.
All right,
let's jump back in. We got a turn 1 Miri's Guile from Andrew, and a turn 1 Lackey from Jared. So far so good, Robin. We'll see. Show me the mountain or Cookies and Forest.
I'm waiting. Oh, ooh, Lackey looks like it's going to be
a nail biter. Is he slow rolling Jared?
I mean, I guess you might be saying like, okay, you might put a ringleader as compared to a bolt. I guess he still takes a damage, but
yeah, still got in for 1.
Here is a Mog Fanatic. Not as exciting as a Lackey.
Less impressive.
But,
yeah.
But, I mean, you'll take it. You got to do what you got to do. Like, the way the games have played out, like getting in the damage early when Andrew is most vulnerable is probably pretty important.
Yeah.
I mean, the second game, he was able to do a chunk of 12 or whatever in one turn. Yeah, it was 12.
Then the 2 pile drivers and the War Chief.
Yeah. But it looks like... So here's a Goblin Matron. So I think you're either getting Ringleader or Goblin War Chief. Unfortunately, you can't get Collar of the Claw.
No, it's not an elf goblin.
Yeah. Okay, so
Nice. Thanks, Potato Dog.
he got a Goblin War Chief. So okay, so Andrew has 4 mana. What is he gonna be able to do? Okay, so he got Elephant Grass. But I mean, at this point, like if Jared just has another land, I mean, I would just hit for 2 every turn, and if Andrew's got to pay for upkeep every turn, like it's obviously a little different if he doesn't have another land. But I think I'd be willing to trade time for 2 damage every turn. Cause that, okay, so he's got to play a War Chief now. He's gonna take a damage. Oh, I've missed 2 points from Jared.
Yeah.
But this Elephant Grass is gonna give Andrew some time, so he incinerates the War Chief. So I guess with that like type of play, like does that mean there's no Starstorm? Because I feel like I might try and wait longer with the if you had Starstorm in your hand, like pay the upkeep a couple turns, and then one turn just not pay the upkeep and then Starstorm the goblins away.
Yeah, there's only about 4 minutes left in the round anyway, so.
So there's an Ensnaring Bridge. So that was one of the cards that we had talked about and we weren't sure.
Yeah.
But
how many does Andrew have in his hand? 1?
I'm not sure. Oh, what's that? Oh, it was from Stronghold.
It's a Prospector.
All right.
Yeah, Stronghold.
So Skirk
Reprinted in
Prospector.
8th edition, many to the bane of a modern player.
7th edition and 8th edition, I think.
I was in both.
I'm pretty sure it was in 7th. Yes. All right, so he pays 2 mana to get the Goblin Matron in there.
That's rough.
I have Andrew at 15. Did Jared miss? How did I have an extra point?
Sorry, Jared. It's not looking good for you, my man.
All right, I'm trying to think. I guess I'll put him back up to 16, but I thought.
I mean, I didn't see what he tapped for the Incinerate, but I mean, I guess he could have tapped the Reflecting Pool.
Oh, they both have Andrew at 16, so.
Yeah, let's put him back up. It's fine. So fetch from Jared, gun 17.
So Andrew has how many cards in his hand? I mean, at least like Jared's able to attack for 2 here, right?
Yeah, but we're coming up on time, so I'm up that too.
All right. So I don't know if Andrew will be able to close out in this time, but
no, I don't think so. Got my eye from the clock here. They are definitely doing time.
So Andrew's fetching.
So I'm saying time, turn 0, Andrew's active player, so it's turn 0 for Andrew.
Okay. So I guess there's 5 turns is what Jared's asking. All right, that I guess makes it a little bit harder. I mean, Pile Driver might be able to do it. I think
So
Pile
this is turn
Drivers.
1.
If you have 2 Pile Drivers here,
Yeah, turn 1.
yeah. I'm trying to think.
Jared 16.
All right. So here's a siege gang. So there's a prospector in play, so he might be able to win outside of the red zone. So if there's no Starstorm here, how much damage is he able to deal? So he
If he
has.
plays a land, he'll have 6 mana without the prospector.
Yeah. So let's say he doesn't draw a land. Well, because Jared's gonna get 2 turns, 2 more turns theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
So if he didn't draw land, 2 activations is 4 damage. 4, 8, 9. 9 with the. Does he have enough? 1, 2, 3.
Looks like a bolt. He's got a bolt for siege gang.
Okay.
Sack.
Matron and a Skirk Prospector. Well, you should sack. Was he targeting the Skirk Prospector instead of the Siege Gang? He must have been.
Maybe, yeah. So he's gonna fling.
Oh, no, wait.
It looks like Andrew targeted the prospector.
Okay. That. He must have another removal spell then? No, that. Because Andrew still has a card in his hand, right? I guess. So if Jared has 2 turns. Okay, so.
This is turn 3.
Wait, so they have him at 12? Didn't he just take 2? They took 2 from a siege gang. Why do they have him at 12? He was at. Because I don't know. Did he only take 1 damage from the siege gang activation? I don't know. I feel like maybe I just been off on the light.
Yeah, what did we miss? We've just been off.
This is the second time where it's like, I feel like I've had him 1 lower than what they both have him at.
Fair enough, Ron. Fair enough. So he's doing Guile here. He's on turn 4.
All right. So how many cards does Andrew have? He's gambling. I would just fail to find, right? Can you fail to find with gamble? Oh, he doesn't have any cards in his hand.
That's why. So Jared can't attack in.
Well, then he can only deal 6, 7. Oh,
So
he can do
he just siege gained again, so he put Ender to 10, so I guess Ender's a 10.
I don't know. I have to go back. I feel like I would have had Andrew at 8 right now.
Skips.
All right. So, I mean, I'm assuming, is Jared conceding, or are they calling it a draw?
I'm calling it a draw.
Okay.
All right, let's unmute him. Let's talk with him about the match. Let's kind of see what happened there at the end.
Okay.
So stick around, folks. We'll unmute these guys and chat, and then we'll have a couple announcements before we wrap up.
All right, I have both of you unmuted.
As do I. Hey, guys.
What's up?
All right, so let's walk us through. I guess, do you guys want to talk about the bans and your thought process in terms of how you chose the decks?
Can you hear me now?
I'm going to step out for 1 second.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I knew he was going to ban my Stifle Knot. I was almost positive of that.
Okay.
So I and looking at his other decks, and I kind of knew, all right, if that's left, then I'm just going to have this Goblins deck and this, and the Hermit deck.
Yep.
But I figured the Hermit deck wasn't going to be good against the deck that had all the bounce.
Should the sealer removal.
The sealer removal and trade win and whatever trade routes, and then so I was like, okay, and obviously the Squeebind deck was going to crush the Hermit deck because it just will kill every Hermit that ever sees the table.
Sure.
It's just too much removal. So I was like, okay, I have a chance to grind him out though with the Goblins. That's what I figured. And I just didn't like his Oath deck. The Moment's Peace would kill.
Yeah.
Would be kind of rough against me.
I've got 2 elephants in that one.
Elf Grasses, yeah, you got it was just not fun. So, and I'm playing all creature decks, so the Oaths were going to trigger. So, anyway, it just kind of made sense. And then I had a feeling he was going to pick this one, and I had a chance to do. I had a chance to kind of find a way to win, so to speak. But
yeah, we almost felt like you're kind of favored in the post-bordered games because you can just kind of sit around into a spot where you use a.
What were you guys thinking the first game when I wasn't attacking? You were thinking I was way too conservative, or blocking, that is.
Well, you gave up a damage. You could have blocked the. He was like tapped out and attacking with a Matron and a Mog Fanatic, and you had a Mishra's Factory. You should have just blocked the Mog Fanatic. I think you did it like a turn or two later, but
yeah, I was willing to give those up. I was just trying to squeeze in any damage I could that first game. It just
you can either make the trade of Goblin Matron.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to pull that game out.
Yeah.
I was expecting I was going to have to live off the sideboard to pull it off. The hordes.
Yeah.
But you were mana hosed that first game, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. I played 24 mana, more than most people playing Goblins, and I just got hosed.
Yeah, I know. When I looked at that, I was like, wait, there's 24 land. I was worried about the Horn of Greed because of just that.
Yeah, I just couldn't get it going. But, yeah. Anyway, it went how I thought it was going to be. It was going to be a slog, and I might win one, and then, of course, he puts down the entire prison, in game 3, so there's so much I could do there. So I needed to just draw running naturalizes or whatever, and I just didn't. But we ran out of time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anywho, yeah. Hopefully next time, and just. So what was that? Just a 1-1 draw?
Mm-hmm.
Just put it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it was. It went exactly how I thought it was going to. If he got Stormbind and started grinding, he was going to win. And he did.
No, he's still muted for me.
Yeah, and the Starstorms there, which you always have the pivotal Starstorm there too, of course.
Yeah.
We were on the edge of our seats a couple times during the match. We're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's got it.
Yeah. He was drawing a lot of cards. Well, because I was in game 1, I thought I had a chance to kind of run him out of cards. He was down to 1 or whatever. Then he finally found the Squee. And then he got the Undiscovered Paradises going. So I was just like, I got rid of the Horn of Greed. That's my one way to do it in the main deck. So I thought I had a chance. So. Oh, well.
Yeah, Jared, to your credit, I think you played well. And Andrew, to yours, I think you played well too. And, you had it when you had it. And, the games were a lot closer than they could have been. And there was a little luck there, I think, for both players at times.
I was just one activation of Siege Gang off in that last game to be able to win. I had you at 14 when we went to turns. If we didn't go to turns, I think I could have had you with the Siege Gangs. Because, I would have been able to fling enough things. What?
You needed that Prospector.
Prospector would have been nice to keep around. That would have been able to speed it up.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the only thing that'll kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Keep getting.
I had a chance, and then maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of the 3 when I did. But I only had 12 damage. I didn't, or 13 actually with the Fanatic, but it was just not quite enough. But oh well. Cool. All right. Well, till next week, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Until next week. Thanks, guys. Another draw this week, but these things happen. Good luck next week.
Is this your second draw, Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
The third game last time.
Yeah, we might have to issue you a warning to speed up your play a little bit there, bud. We love you. But 2 draws 2 weeks in a row is a little suspicious.
I was like, Goblins is going to wreck me fast, and it was like, what's happening? That first game was only 3 mana.
You just start Stormbinding like crazy.
Oh, I know. You got stuck on 3 land forever, and then
I couldn't believe I couldn't find anything.
I know. I was like, I thought I had a lot of land.
Yeah.
24 in the Goblin deck was crazy.
Yeah. So.
And they just.
All right, guys. It's late.
Yeah, it's really late. Night, Jared. Night, Andrew. We both know Andrew's not going to sleep, but take it easy.
Right.
Thanks for playing.
I'll talk to you later.
We'll see you guys next week.
Sounds
Bye,
good.
guys. Bye.
All right. I don't have an updated schedule, but we will be back on Monday again for our 5th episode. I guess I can pull up who we have playing. But we do Mondays and Wednesdays at 9:30 Eastern is when we start. And let's see, for the next on Monday the 31st, we will have Robin versus Mike, and then we have Robin versus Mike Arnold, and then Ron versus Mike Harris. So we'll have a new set of guys. They'll be ready to battle, and we'll see you then. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we end up going, Flint?
I guess, if you haven't already, check out some of the other media that we support. So check out the Premodcast. Good work there. We had the Premodcast for all tonight. Jared versus Andrew, their co-hosts. And check out All Teams Considered, Brian Menalakis' podcast on Old School and a little bit Premodern. Check out the Facebook group for the Premodern Monthly. Check out 90s MTG. They do a lot of Paper Magic, Legacy, Vintage, and some Premodern. We're definitely friends of the show. Am I missing anybody, Mike?
I was just going to say the sign up for the September monthly is open right now. So if you guys aren't familiar with what it is, it's a league that we play in every month. And if you sign up, you will get paired against a number of opponents, and then you have about 3 weeks to play those opponents on your own time. So it doesn't have to be back to back. You don't have to set aside a certain time. You got to work out with your opponents of when you can play. And then from each pod, the top performer moves on, and then there might be some wild card peoples that move on to. It's typically a top 16 given to how many people we've had. So that's where a lot of us have our Premodern experience from, is coming from the monthlies. So if you haven't been a part of that and you're looking to get into some webcam Premodern, that is the way to do it. So if you have any questions in terms about how should I set up my web camera or what kind of things do I need, you can let me know in some way or another on here or on Twitter or a YouTube post or something. Anyway, getting a hold of me, I'll help you out, or on Facebook or something if you do have any questions. But other than that, there's lots of people who are getting excited about Premodern, and there's lots of people who are willing to play pickup games. If you go on the Facebook group and ask about it, I'm sure most nights someone will be willing to play with you. And because a lot of people are excited about the format, as they should be, because there are a lot of things to be excited about. But yeah, other than that, I would just say have a good rest of your week, and we hope to see you guys on Monday.
Thanks, everybody.